Hello students, how are you all? So today I am making a video on class 7 chapter which is from the textbook which is Getting Ahead with Social Science. Mostly videos are available on YouTube regarding NCERT, but few schools, those who are following Orient Blackswan publisher and that Getting Ahead with. So for them I thought I must make such videos. So as in my school this chapter is going on, so I am making this video. Starting with this, we'll be making other videos as well. So let us get started. We have already completed previous 2 chapters of history in class 7. So today we will be starting with Delhi Sultanate chapter 3. Let us get started. So first we will see this timeline. You can see here from 1200 to 1300, means for almost 1 century there was a slave dynasty who ruled. We will read about them, the slaves. Then this green portion you can see, this was Khilji dynasty. Then comes Tughlaqs, means from 1300 to 1400, within 1 century there were 2 types of dynasties. One was Khilji, second was Tughlaqs. Then you see here for few years there were Sayyids, then Lodhis, okay, and with this time period we will be studying all these in this chapter in these portions or small doses. Let us start now. As you saw in the previous chapter, Muslim rule in India was established by Muhammad Ghori. Now if you remember, when we were studying chapter 2 of history, there we discussed that Muhammad Ghori established Muslim rule in India in the 12th century CE. Okay, in this Ghori was helped by General Qutbuddin Aibak. Now Qutbuddin Aibak was his general. Ghori appointed Aibak as the viceroy of his Indian conquest. Now Qutbuddin Aibak was helping Muhammad Ghori in his conquest of India. So then Muhammad Ghori appointed Qutbuddin Aibak as his viceroy in India, as his representative in India. Now Muhammad Ghori died in 1206. So who will be now looking after his kingdom? As he left behind no descendants, means कोई successors नहीं छोड़ के गया वो. So his viceroys declared themselves as independent rulers of the regions they governed. Now, wherever he had appointed viceroys, as Qutbuddin Aibak was also appointed as viceroy, so they all these viceroys, they declared that we are now independent rulers. Whatever areas they were given by Muhammad Ghori, so they became the rulers of these areas. Qutbuddin Aibak claimed the Indian territories because Muhammad Ghori had territories in different parts of the world. So that Indian territories of Muhammad Ghori, they were under now Qutbuddin Aibak, which included Punjab, Sindh, Indo-Gangetic Plains, the present-day Bihar and Bengal. So all these were under the rule of now Qutbuddin Aibak, which were previously actually conquered by Muhammad Ghori, but Qutbuddin Aibak was looking after them as viceroy. And he established his capital at Delhi. So this is the beginning of Delhi Sultanate. Okay. Now, with the accession of Qutbuddin Aibak to the throne of Delhi begins the history of Delhi Sultanate in India. Now, as Qutbuddin Aibak made Delhi as his capital, okay, or after getting the throne of Delhi Sultanate or getting the throne of Muhammad Ghori, the story of Delhi Sultanate begins in the history of India. It lasted for more than 300 years, as I showed you in this timeline, starting from 1200 to around 1500, okay, for almost 300 centuries, it continued. Years from 1206 to 1526. The rulers during this period called themselves as sultans. You might have heard different rulers, they call themselves by different such titles. Now in previous chapter we were studying that Nizams of Hyderabad, then Nawabs of Bengal, right? So here we are reading as them sultans. Okay, so rulers in this period, they called them as sultans. Hence their rule is known as that of Delhi Sultanate. Okay, their rule for the time period which they ruled, as Delhi was their capital also. So and the ones who are ruling, they are sultans. Okay, they are ruling from Delhi as a center. So we call this rule as Delhi Sultanate. 5 successive dynasties ruled over northern India during the reign of Delhi Sultans. So there were 5 different dynasties I showed you in the timeline. Okay, from this within this time there were 5 different dynasties who ruled as the Delhi Sultans. They were the Slave dynasty from 1206 to 90, then the Khiljis from 1290 to 1320, and then the Tughlaqs from 1320 to 1399. Now, and the Sayyids from 1414 to 1451, then the Lodhis 1451 to 1526. So these were the major 5 dynasties. We will be taking them one by one. Okay. So first we will take Slave dynasty. Now, the Turkish rulers depended heavily on specially chosen slaves who were trained to excel in both military and intellectual spheres. Turkish rulers we have seen, we studied in chapter 2 of history. Turkish rulers also came to India. They were dependent on their slaves. Okay, they had their slaves. These slaves were used to be very good in their military skills, means very good warriors they were. At the same time, they used them in the intellectual spheres also, means जहाँ पे भी कोई दिमाग लगाने वाली बात होती थी, कुछ उनके political shrewdness चाहिए होती थी. For such affairs also, these slaves were used to give them advice. Okay, so अभी slaves को training दी जाती थी किसमें? Military में and intellectual spheres में. So these slaves often rose up the political and military ladder to become rulers of their land. तो अभी ये slaves धीरे धीरे फिर they were used to rise above their level. Okay, कि military और political ladders जो CD है उसके next steps चढ़ते चढ़ते then later they became the rulers. We have seen in the case of Qutb-ud-Din Aibak. The dynasty established by Aibak was therefore also known as the slave dynasty. As Qutb-ud-Din Aibak, he was also one of the slave only of Muhammad Ghori. After the death of Muhammad Ghori, he whatever areas were represented by him or looked after by him, he was a viceroy. But after the death of Muhammad Ghori, he became the independent ruler of those areas. So from then, we say that from whenever the rule of Qutb-ud-Din Aibak started, that from that period, wherever it ended, we call this period as slave dynasty. And the rulers of Mamluk Sultans of Delhi, Mamluk means slave. Okay, Mamluk का अगर हम literal meaning देखें, it means slave. Okay, so now there will be different slave rulers such as Qutb-ud-Din Aibak, then we'll read Iltutmish. So like this we will be reading. Okay, so in this video for today, it was this much only. In the next video, we will start these slave rulers of Delhi Sultanate. Hope you liked this video and the topic, whatever is explained, is clear to you. But still, if you have any doubt, you can type in the comment section. Feel free to ask your queries. Till the time, stay tuned. See you in the next video. Bye.